Codename Kids Next Door is a show that has defined a generation of kids, from the early 2000s to even now. This show has such a huge impact that many people who grew up on the show still bring it up in discussions today, when talking about shows that capture the essence of childhood imagination and not being afraid to embrace one's wonder and curiosity. Kids Next Door was one of those shows that embodied the art of being a kid, that was encoded with juvenile innocence and journey. With the show having a spy-esque theme, the show was already a perfect fit for kids, especially young boys, due to the action and spy theme, but of course girls were also welcomed. The creator of the show, Tom Warburton, initially made the characters in Kids Next Door to be villains of a bigger story called Kenny and the Chimp, but Cartoon Network was more gravitated towards the KND antagonist, believing that the concept was intriguing and unique enough to warrant its own show. So Tom decided to make it a show, dubbing it Codename Kids Next Door. The show ran for about 6 seasons with little to no complaints about it. Of course, that's not to say that the show had no flaws, because every show will have a flaw. But overall, people really enjoyed it. Even though the show came out before I was born, it was still relevant enough to have been marketed and advertised on Cartoon Network for me to be able to discover it. When I watched the show, I knew this show was it from the animation and art style, being like very mild with a gritty overtone, establishing that rough and rugged atmosphere us as the audience would be thrown into most of the time. Being that this was a show about kid spies going on your crazy, not so normal adventures, where there will be some boo-boos and excessive usage of band-aids. I personally enjoyed the overall plot of the show, which was a group of kids known as Kids Next Door, running a spy organization with the initial purpose of going head-to-head with the adults, and there not really being a grandiose reason, by them just wanting to get out of doing their day-to-day routine, like doing the chores or going to summer camp. This show just had an innocent plot that didn't need this bigger, lore explained reason for this organization being formed, which really defined the kid aspect of the show. This is because kids would literally battle their parents to the ends of the earth before they would ever do what their parents want them to do. So it's just pretty realistic for this to be their why behind the plot, and the writers know that as well. So what better way to explore this plot than talking about the first movie of the series? In the Candy movie Operation Zero, it already establishes the overall premise of the show, and there being a civil war between kids and adults, with there even being a special artifact called the Book of KND, which was used in defeating the grandfather who was the main antagonist of the show many years ago, during the beginning stages of the Kids Next Door organization. Already 5 minutes into the film, the writers incorporate the essence in childlike adventure, and the antagonist being the father of Number Zero, and him wanting Number Zero to do the chores, establishing a serious tone to an unserious and mundane situation, speaking to how children act when it comes to being tasked with something by their parents. And I just wanted to keep in mind, I want you guys to understand that the movie starts off with a flashback sequence, so we're just getting the backstory, and we're just getting how the KND organization was formed, with the first initial leader being Number Zero, who is the relative to Number One, or Nigel. So just keep that in mind. Then we shift to the present as we see Nigel, who is the commander of the Kids Next Door Sector V, who admires and looks up to Number Zero, believing him to be the hero that founded
Number
KND.
Zero! Oh my gosh, I can't believe it! Oh my, I can't wait to tell everyone. They'll be like, you're the coolest Number One. And I'll be like, yeah, I am, aren't I? And we can go on missions together and battle evil and Dalton. My own dad.
But the people around him believe him to only be a myth that never existed. But that doesn't stop Nigel from trying to walk the same path Number Zero did. As we continue through the movie, there are just a lot of elements I genuinely love, with their base being in space and in all over nations, which really adds to the spy element of the show, really making us want to take these characters serious, you know what I'm saying? And also the simple but very important key for access being the boogers of the kids, which shows just how childish, you know what I'm saying, they are, even though they're supposed to be top-notch spies. Which is a good reminder because one could forget the fact that these are still kids at the end of the day, so I just love that minor detail. The cinematography is slick too, with how well it's able to capture the full atmosphere of the setting, which allows for watchers to not be confused with where the characters are currently at. So as we progress through the movie, it is made clear that the adults in this show hate kids because of how rebellious and unruly they are. So they just had to embrace their roles as villains for their kids being a necessary type of evil for them. So unfortunately, Grandfather is reawakened and begins to cause, havoc for our heroes by turning everyone and anyone into elderly slaves called senior city zombies, who will be freed or forced to make tapioca for Grandfather. This is what I mean when I say the show is just simple, not taking themselves too serious, due to the main reason behind the antagonist doing all of this is over some tapioca.
Your city zombies! Before I force them to produce bowl after bowl of sweet, delicious tapioca for me!
Due to the main reason behind the antagonist doing all of this is over some tapioca, which allows for them to be, some funny and comedic moments that intercedes the movie most of the time. You shouldn't watch this movie with the intent of getting a dark lore, that entices you, but just a cool family movie that you can just watch with your loved ones and just crack a joke and crack a smile, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just supposed to be like a cool kid movie, you know what I'm saying? So it's nothing to be taken too serious. Systems, and the writers even give us a little, foreshadowing with how Nigel's boogers are actually like the same, it contains the same DNA as number 0, really foreshadowing what could be in like the later revelation we get later on in the movie, being that it has been hinted at that number 1 is related to number 0. His boogers is a perfect fit to energize the module. This leaves Nigel unable to continue on, but with the help of his fan, he is able to push through. I just liked how effortless the writers made this interaction between Nigel and his fan, I forgot his name, without there being an obvious route of a common lesson that is trying to be taught, which goes to show how the writers just respect us as watchers, in them not needing to hold our hands with the message they're trying to convey. Moving forward, we see that Nigel goes to number 0 as uses a tracking device, but surprisingly he is led to his house where his father opens the door, suddenly hinting at who number 0 could actually be, not making it too obvious, as Nigel obliviously tries to find the person that could be number 0 that isn't his father, but later comes to the conclusion that there's a possibility. So he uses the module on him, restoring the memories of his father, which is just such a cool moment, I just have to say, really shocking the watchers because no one would have ever expected him to be number 0, which makes us think back to the flashback sequence of number 0 helping us connect the dots on why he is the way he is and why Nigel respects him so much. And can I just say that he is really a cool character, man. I really like him a lot. Even before he was like retransformed, he was just a loving and cool dad, but now adding this to his character of him being the previous number 0, it's just so freaking cool, man.
No, it's not that. I'm going to try something called recommissioning on you. If it works, you're going to help me save the world.
Oh, well, that. If it would make you happy, son, let's give it a try.
And we just see why Nigel respects him so much and why his ideals aligns with number 0's, all being because they are father and son. Just seeing this shift in character really is such a cool moment. Then number 0 reveals a lot of crazy secrets, like their house being the first ever KND base formed, showcasing the lore of KND being so extensive, despite it being a kid's show at the end of the day. Then it is later revealed the book of KND was kept in a vault. Then it leads to some cool father and son bonding, where number 0 encourages Nigel to carve his own path and story in the book. So now number 0 and Nigel are forced to work with Father, who is Nigel's nemesis and like the main antagonist of the show. And the crazy revelation keeps coming, with Father really being number 0's brother and Nigel's uncle, which is absolutely insane.
Lost yet? And you're supposed to be the smart one. I'm your dad's brother, Benedict. Your uncle.
My uncle!
Really making us think back to the beginning flashback sequence with Benedict being the one that didn't want to escape conformity that his brother number 0 was against. This just makes me wonder what happened after that fact that led to his descent into evil. This moment teaches Nigel that for, like the greater good, one would have to work with people that are less than desirable. So both Number Zero and Benedict confront Grandfather, with Grandfather ironically imagining if Number Zero became evil, even though the self-admitted evil one, Benedict, isn't wanted nor respected, which just makes me feel bad for the guy and really shows how bad of a character and father Grandfather is, which is the point. And so Benedict is out of it and Number Zero is left to battle against Grandfather. And then we switch over to Nigel as he is forced to battle the rest of the numbers. And we see that Nigel can't do it because they are his friends. And so with the help of the former, K&D Sector Z, Nigel is able to come out victorious. We cut back to Number Zero as he tries to resist the aging effect, but Number Zero tactfully gives Grandfather the Book of K&D, sacrificing himself into the decommissioning chamber, resulting in him and Grandfather returning to their original state, reversing the aging effect and saving the world. And unfortunately, Number Zero loses his memories as Nigel uses the module to bring, Number Zero back. But Number Zero gives him a heartfelt message, and that he broke the module intentionally in order to prevent him from being brought back, or his memories, being restored, because simply put, he's not a kid anymore. And he has, one last important mission, which is to be a good father to Nigel.
Probably wondering why the recommissioning module is broken. Well, I broke it. I had a hunch you might want to use it to get Number Zero back. Well, look, I would love to have tons more adventures with the super cool Number One and his team, but I'm just not a kid anymore. I'm an adult.
And this is a very emotional scene here. I'm not going to hold you. I was holding back tears with this one because, bro, it's just a sad moment just seeing Nigel cry after that reaction and after like that message he got from his father telling him that he just can't come back because even though he knows that he's sacrificing his memories of being Number Zero, he's doing it for the greater good because now he's not a kid anymore. He's a father and he wants to just be Nigel's father and be a good dad. And he sees that as his last mission to fulfill and complete in being Nigel's dad. You know what I'm saying? So that's such a cool moment. And it's almost as if, Number Zero is trying to correct the mistakes his father made, which is Grandfather, and him not really paying attention to his kids and him not embracing them. And it seems as if Number Zero was the right path. He's what Grandfather could have been if, he actually took care of his kids and he actually paid attention to them. So I like that parallel a lot. It's really cool. And so yeah, man, it's a really emotional scene with Nigel crying, but Nigel is later on, feeling better now because he just has his friends and he still has his father at the end of the day, which is always a plus. So yeah, man, this movie was absolutely fire. I encourage you guys to watch the movie just to get like a little, introduction to the show itself, because the show is, like I said, 6 seasons long. So I just encourage you guys to watch the movie first, because that will kind of give you guys some sort of a form of introduction to the plot and premise and to the overall story itself. And I forgot to talk about the characters. I just love the numbers, like Number 3. I like how he's cool. He's a little bit less, playful. He's just very serious, a very serious, mission-oriented guy. And I like that throughout the movie, we just get like his little snippets with, Number 3 and kind of them having, a crush on one another. And it's just a funny moment within the movie. And I just like Number 5 being that badass who is just ready to throw down at any moment. And how she just sacrificed herself to save her friends. And Number 2 being, the best friend of, Nigel, and him being the smart one in the group. And yeah, man, all the characters are just freaking phenomenal. And we just have a lot of other characters in the show that was in the movie that really played their parts really well. Like the leader, I forgot her name, but she was the one that was like in charge of like Nigel, telling him what to do and stuff like that. And she wasn't really accepting of Nigel's decision making, and so she would constantly just scold Nigel. But later on, she grew to actually understand Nigel's methods, and she just grew to respect him as a leader and as a comrade. So yeah, man, Kids Next Door is just a generational show. It's really shaped an entire generation, and it just continues to be talked about in modern cartoons for a good reason, because it's just such a good show that really just propels what it means to be a kid, and it just propels that idea to like people all around. So yeah, man, Codename Kids Next Door is just such an underrated gem. Even though yes, it is getting the respect that it deserves, it just deserves a lot more, because it paved the way for shows like Craig of the Creek, Clarence, Adventure Time to really, like, you know, show their true flag and fly. So yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please guys, comment down below what you guys thought of this video, what you guys thought of the movie Operation Zero, and what you guys thought about the franchise Codename Kids Next Door as a whole. Did you expect it to do good? Did you know, want it to like be talked about more, to be given more attention? Did you feel like it deserved the attention that it got? Did you feel like it needed more attention? Do you think it's underrated, overrated? I just want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.